I'm KP Carter, the world's only readologist, author of the Lizzie B books, and owner of Rockstar Reading University. And today I'm talking with my neighbor, and we're going to be talking about children's literacy and the importance of reading and some of the themes that are in the Lizzie B books that I have written. So let's just get started.
Well, Kathy, thanks so much for having me. I am so excited to be here today to share how I feel about your wonderful Lizzie B. Hayes series. It's just they're delightful stories. My grandchildren and I love them. And we especially feel they're special because of the fact that you're our neighbor. So happy to be here with you today.
Thanks for being here again. And just to start, I want to ask you about how your children, your grands, found reading Lizzie B. Hayes. You know, book one is Summertime with Lizzie B. Hayes. It's historical fiction. And book two is Lizzie B. Hayes and the Great Camp Caper. And I think I remember you telling me that they really enjoyed the Great Camp Caper book.
Oh, they just love it. They absolutely love it. And of course, like I said, having you as our neighbor and the writer, the person behind the story, gives it an extra connection for the children and the lessons about kindness and standing up for yourself sinks in even more, knowing that it came from you. I want to just say that the one about the camp is a particular favorite because this past summer, both children had gone to Manhattan to go to summer camp where their grandfather lives. So it was important that we had something to, give them an idea of what camp would be like. So, of course, by reading about Lizzie's adventures, Lizzie enjoys camp activities and outdoor fun, and the children wanted to talk about what it would be like when they go to camp. So, it was especially a good connection there for them. And it's really a heartfelt story about a young girl, and that's a trying age. Those middle school years. My own granddaughter is 9 years old now, and I can see some of those characteristics coming out. The children start exploring what's going on around them and what other children are telling them and how to react to other children. So, as both their grandmother and an educator, we've been finding your books to build on everything that we're looking for in terms of foundations.
Thank you for sharing that you were an educator. I mean, I knew that, but those of you who are listening, you didn't know that my neighbor was an educator for years and she owned a daycare center. She has a wide range of experience with children. And just from your standpoint, thinking back to your years as a owner of a child care center, what do you believe is the foundation of literacy?
Well, as I had discussed with you, Kathy, back in the early 1990s when I owned a child care center and had served as a Head Start director prior, watched firsthand how early reading instruction, it was shifting. At that time, education started moving away from teaching phonics. The scientific foundation of reading that teaches children, children need to hear sounds. Anyone who's learning how to read needs to hear the sounds. You've got to understand that letters have patterns, you've got to decode the words. And instead, our country and education lean toward the whole word or look say approach. And of course, we know here we are today, it doesn't work. While the whole word, method promised us quicker recognition of familiar words, but it overlooked, I think, a critical truth, and that's children need to, understand the structure of language. They've got to learn how to read fluently and independently. And it's not enough to just read. You really have to delve even deeper and know that you understand what you read. And that's where even our reading comprehension comes in. So I feel that without phonics, and I think you can agree as other educators have come to this juncture as well, that many children could memorize words, but they struggled to sound out the nuance. So over time, this shift it has created huge gaps in reading skills that's affected our generations. So here we are, we're seeing the consequences decades later, and far too many children, they're behind. They are behind in literacy because they never had the opportunity to develop decoding skills. It's essential. You have to be able to decode and hear the sounds of the letters, and there's patterns, and it's something that needs to start as young as possible. It's an injustice to students that it took this country so long to recognize that, we've got to have strong, systematic phonics instruction. It's not an option. It's foundational.
Well, thank you for sharing it. I can tell you're very passionate about that, and, yes, the foundation of learning is so essential, and if you can't read, there's not much you can do. You need to be able to not only call the words, but you have to be able to understand what you read. So thank you for sharing that. And that brings me to something else I want to just pick your brain about. Why is it important for children to be able to see themselves in books? I wrote the Lizzie B series. Well, now it's a trilogy.
Yes,
Yes, yeah, yes, thank you. I'll share about that a little later. But I wrote the Lizzie B books so that children of color could see themselves doing positive things in books.
hmm And
Things that they could relate to, situations that they could relate to. So, can you share why that's important for your grands?
oh, definitely, definitely. I appreciate the books that reflect, what my grandchildren and other children who don't look like my grandchildren look like, how they live, explore their lives, to share the experiences of others. I think educators look at literature, they say that, what is it? It serves as,
Mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors.
yes, I always like the
Yes,
saying
yeah,
that.
that's based on research from Rooting Sims Bishop, and she has done phenomenal research on that foundation. Mirrors is when a child can look in the mirror and see themselves. So that's what books should do. Children should be able to see themselves in books. And as windows, they can look out into the world. And the sliding glass doors is when they go out and interact with the world. And we find that when children can see themselves, it impacts how they feel about themselves, their confidence. And when children don't see themselves in books, it can really have a negative impact on them.
Exactly. Like you're saying, Cappy, it's essential that all children see themselves reflected in the books they read, while also having the chance to, explore the lives and experiences of others. So literature does serve as a mirror in that regard. And we want to also let our children see their own culture, their language, and by offering diverse books such as yours that reflects different skin colors and languages, things that will help our children understand themselves. They've got to appreciate others, it helps them grow into readers, thinkers, and we definitely need critical thinkers, which will occur as they get older with more maturity and opportunities to read. That's where they see there's value in inclusion and equity, where they become empathetic and have understanding. So when children can see themselves in literature, I really believe that it gives you a lot of confidence. I know it gave me confidence. I've had loads, and I mean loads of books since I was a little girl. Oh my gosh. I'd rather stay in the house and read books than go outside and play when I was a youngster. So I want to instill that same sense of, confidence and pride in my grandchildren, because books do make you feel very proud of yourself, I must say, because you get so much information that you otherwise would not have. and it really does instill confidence in you. So a sense of belonging. You feel when you read other people's stories, there's always going to be something that you can relate to. So it's a foundation that strengthens both their learning and their character.
Wow, yeah, that thanks for sharing that. And when you think about that, think about the themes that are in the books that I write. I want to find out in Lizzie B. Hayes and the Great Camp Caper, what were some of the themes that your grandchildren were able to relate to?
Oh, I can tell you, there were several themes that I was able to use for the children's learning to test their reading comprehension because, it's not enough to read. You also need to understand what you're reading. So, there were things like words and conflict because in the story, it's Coco, one of the characters, she does should say and do things that are hurtful.
Not so nice.
Right. Yeah, she was a little spicy. And Lizzie was able to kind of like watch, and even though the words can sting, and that's what I teach my kids, even though, that old saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never harm you. But
Well,
they can be harmful.
they are harmful.
So
Yes.
see, it shows, how teasing or bullying begins. So you learn how you can reflect on what's fair, what's not. There were a lot of different opportunities for us to discuss things that are very important, especially in the middle school years. That's when children are starting to question and come into their own and compete with each other. And sometimes you have to learn about other people's feelings and so forth and sharing and all those things were prevalent throughout the story.
Thank you. And I write about those kinds of things because I want children to be able to think and see themselves and be able to problem solve. And they can relate, even if it's nothing that's happened to them yet. They can put it into their toolbox for when they encounter it, or they may have a friend who's going through some of the things that I write about. So
Yeah. Be brave. That's another thing. Bravery. I mean, you do need to stand up for your friends as well.
yes, yeah, exactly. That bystander syndrome. You can't be a bystander. If you see something that's not right, you need to
Act, say something,
say something. Yeah,
no matter what it is.
yeah. So thank you so much for being with me today to just have a chat about what's important in literacy and how you experience it with your grandchildren. That's so important. I appreciate you for being here and just want to remind everyone that I have a new book coming out, book 3. It's now the Lizzie B. Hayes series is now a trilogy. The new book is Lizzie B. Hayes on a Mission, and she's now in junior high school, and she's still in Newark, New Jersey. It's 1970, and if you know anything about Newark, New Jersey's history, that was when the first black mayor was elected. So I write to teach children about that time period, but also think about what are the things that happen when you get older and go to a new school and try to make new friends and you want to still keep your grades up. And Lizzie has a desire to be on the basketball team, and there's a mission that she's on that you're going to read about, and I hope that readers will enjoy it when they find it. So you can pre-order the book now at kpcarterwrites.com. That's kpcarter, WRITES.com. And during this pre-sale time period, you will also get a free audiobook. So I'm so happy to share that with you. And until next time, thank you so much for being with me. And maybe you'll come back, or maybe I'll be able to chat with your grands when they read the next book.
Most definitely. Don't be surprised. They'll be knocking on your door. Oh, no, no. They like to ring the doorbell.
They do, they do. Okay.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.